Alright, what's going on, guys? In our last episode, we learned how to create the guard spawner and set them on a patrol path. Now we're going to set up a wave system so that we will have 2 melee units spawn out, gun guys after them, and we will also add a special unit that will spawn every other wave. And this is a nice clean system to prevent them from grouping up or having a gun guy spawn in front of the melee unit. So let's hop right in it. Alright, so if you'll seen in our last video, we created the basic guard spawner and the path. I went ahead and moved that to each of the bases so that they will go and fight each other. So let's go ahead and set it so that we can have our guards spawn out in waves. Right now, if we select our guard spawner, we have a personal timer which they will spawn out every 3 seconds or so. And there's an issue with this. See, if I go ahead and try and spawn them out, they'll just spawn out as many as our spawn count lets it. And we don't want that, because whenever they go out and fight, basically whatever the spawn count is, it will just repeat this 30, 40 seconds, however long you want it, and it'll just keep spawning them. So we don't want that. So on the spawn timer, we're going to go ahead and deselect both of these. And there's a few settings that we also need to change as well. So if I go ahead and select both of these spawners, if I shift click both of them, I'm going to have the spawn count and set that to the max is going to be 20. And then I want to set spawn through walls, and for our map here, we don't want that to happen. Enable that game start and allow infinite spawn, yes. And down here to show spawn radius. Now what we could do is we could select use device spawn location, and that'll just spawn them on the spawner. You can do that or not. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it as is. And I went ahead and changed some of the variables for the gunner, made him lower health. And then let's see if there's anything else that we need to change. No, that's it. So right now, they're not gonna spawn because we don't have them on the spawner here. What we wanna have happen is have a countdown so that it'll spawn our first 2 melees and then our gunners in the back. So in order to do this, we're gonna go to our content drawer in our Fortnite folder and look up timer device. And then drag this out here. And it's important to note that there can only be 30 guards maximum in our world here inside of Fortnite. I know it's not a lot, so we got to kind of work with it. So another thing is I'm gonna have one boss in each of the bases, as well as one mini boss over here and possibly another over here. So we're really working with 26 guards possible that we can send out, and that's with both teams. So really 13 guards we want to have maximum at a time on our team. Now if they kill each other off, let's say this wave of 6 guys went out and died, then you would still be able to have 6 more or whatever, just with a maximum of 13. That's our goal. So in order to do this, we're really just going to have to work with the timing. They're also really slow, so it takes a while for them to actually walk along. So we need to set the timing right so that it'll spawn them enough so that they go out, kill each other off, and that there's enough space for them to be able to spawn more without them hitting that 30 limit. So in our timer device here, we're going to change some settings. So for my map, I'm going to go ahead and set it for 40 seconds because I know for certain that that's a safe amount for them to walk along the path and at least start engaging with enemies and fighting and killing each other off. So 40 seconds is good. And then we're going to do start at game start. We're going to do can interact, no. And then we're going to do success on timer in, make sure that's on. Completion behavior, we're going to set to restart. So every 40 seconds that this ticks down from 40 and reaches 0, it will restart the timer back at 40 seconds and spawn our next wave of guards. And then we're going to do visible during game only timer. And then we're going to do display. We're just going to do seconds only. And let's go ahead and turn this off of our HUD. We don't need to see that. And that's basically all we need. So now if we select our guard spawner here, and I go down to spawn and hit the plus icon, I can go ahead and search for our timer device right here, or I can hit the eyedropper and select it in our world, and that will be also our timer device. And then we're going to make sure we go down to on success. Great. So now every 40 seconds this will restart, and once it ticks down to 0, it'll spawn one guard. Okay, so now what we need to do is set it so that it spawns our second guard and then a gun guy after that. We don't want them all spawning at the same time because they get clustered and some of our gun guys can be in the front. So what we're gonna have is 40 seconds, we're gonna have the melee unit spawn, and then 1 second after that, another one will spawn, and then, 2 seconds after that, the gun guy, and yeah, you get the idea. So I could create another timer and set it for 41 seconds, but that's not gonna work because after every 40 seconds, it'll take 80 seconds for the second wave to spawn. And then our 42 timer will start, or our 41 timer will start back over from 41, and basically it'll be 82 seconds. So the longer the game goes on, our gun guys and whoever is after the first spawner, they're gonna start falling behind and they're not all gonna spawn at the same time. So in order to fix this, we're actually going to hold Alt on our keyboard and drag up and make a duplicate of this. And we're gonna set this timer down to 1 second. And we're gonna do countdown, and then we're gonna do start at game start, and we're gonna turn that to false. And on completion behavior, reset. Not restart, reset. And then we're gonna go down to, let's see, I think everything else should be good. But down here on start, we wanna add the plus icon and then select our first timer. So this timer will start whenever our 40-second timer ends. So now we can set it so that it'll spawn one melee guard. One second after that, it will start our second melee guard. Just go ahead and select him, and on spawn, we're gonna add another element and select our new timer. And on success, great. So we're gonna do the same thing for the gun guy. So we're gonna drag this timer out. And there's not really too many settings you need to change with this. And we're gonna alt drag again, make another copy. And basically on this third timer, we're gonna set it so that this timer device will start whenever this timer ends. So whenever this is completed, this one will start. On success, and then our last one, we're gonna drag and select this timer. So they're all just kind of spawning in after each other. And let's go ahead and select our gun guy, and on spawn, we are going to select our timers. On success, add another one, drag our last timer, and we're gonna do on success. Okay, and I did forget to go ahead and on this first timer, When I selected the timer, go ahead and make sure it's on success. So now let's go ahead and check out what this looks like in the game. Okay, so let's take a look here. So this timer, it started when the game started from 40, and it's gonna count down, and there's our first guard, second one, gun, and another one. So this is the best method in order to keep them from clustering up and a lot of other issues. So here we are, we have a nice wave, and then the timer already reset, and it will count down and spawn another wave. So we got this working. Let's go ahead and add another guard to our little army here. So if I alt drag off of this is going to be our kind of special unit. So we're going to give him a combat shotgun, and he's gonna be a boss, so he's gonna have level 4 one, and we're gonna go ahead and set his health to 300, max 300 as well, and starting shield to 200. So he's gonna be a tanky boy. And one other thing that we want to change is his accuracy. We're gonna make that pretty high. So let's go ahead, we're gonna clear this, so we don't want him spawning on any of those timers. And what we want to have happen is we want this guy to spawn every other wave. So we're gonna have a normal wave for our first one, and then this guy will spawn our special wave, and then it'll rotate back to a normal wave, and then back to a special wave. So in order to do this, we're gonna go ahead and drag out our timer, make another one, and reset this start. And let's go ahead and change this. So since our waves spawn at 40 seconds, we're gonna go ahead and set this to 80. So now what this will do is basically, you know, if we were to have it spawn at 40 seconds, it would spawn the first thing, because hey, 40 seconds go by, another 40 seconds, that's 80 seconds. So it would be one of the first ones to spawn. We want our shotgun guy to spawn after our melee ones and before our gun guys. Okay, so what we want to do is on our 80 second, in order to set this between our melee and our gun unit, we need it to start after 40 seconds. So we need to set another timer. Basically, if we go ahead and copy this, and I would just make it 0.5 seconds, but 1 second is the lowest it can be. So we're gonna set it to 1.1 or 1.5 seconds. So 1.5 seconds after our second or our first timer spawns, let's go ahead down here. We're gonna do on start, we're gonna start it after our 40-second timer. So on success, 1.5 seconds after this main timer completes, it's gonna start an 80-second timer. So let's select our 80 if I can click it. And we're going to start this on our 1 second. If I can select it. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead, space this out a bit, and then make sure we do on success. And we want to make sure that on our 80 second that this is free range. So we're going to do countdown, and then we're going to go down. Instead of reset, it's going to do it's going to do restart. So everything else should be good. And then now we just want to set our combat troop to spawn, and then set that to our 80-second timer. So on success, now let's check it out in game. So here we are. We've already had 2 groups of guards spawn, and this will be our special wave. So after 1 second here. So our first guard spawns, our second one, and then our special one right in the middle where we want it. I went ahead and I had to change this timer to 1.8 instead of 1.5, just so it would consistently spawn the special unit there. But we can see now that it'll restart the timer and it'll spawn our normal wave, and then after that, every other wave our special unit will spawn. So since we did all the adjustments to the guards, instead of having to go to the other side and do the same thing, I'm just going to go ahead and select all of these guard spawners, and we're going to duplicate them and move them all the way over to the other side of the map here. Let's go ahead and drag them all the way over here. And we are just going to change, we still got to change some settings, but it's not as much as we would have to if we had to duplicate all of them. So first things first, delete these. And the great thing about duplicating them is they're all going to be on the same timer interval as the next one, so we don't got to create all of the timers again. The main things that we got to change is we want this to be ghost, and we want to go down and set the team to 2 and the patrol. So if we go to patrol, we want to spawn this on patrol path group 2. Great. All right, thanks for watching, guys. If y'all have any suggestions on what you want to see in the game, just leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Peace.